bill calling for American businesses to check the immigration status of all employees is moving through Congress. It's called EVerify, and Congressman Lamar Smith, who's on committees that oversee immigration issues, explains how it would work.
EVerify system where we check the status of individuals, whether they're eligible to work in the United States or not, by simply checking their Social Security number to see if it's legitimate. And it's virtually free, it's easy, it's simple, it's 99% effective, probably the most effective of any government program we could possibly have. And it saves jobs for American citizens and for legal immigrants who are entitled to work in this country. So we think it's a good system and very much needed.
EVerify is already available. What's the difference between employers being able to use the system now and what the bill calls for?
Well, right now about a third of all the workforce is under EVerify, and it's a voluntary program today. 1,500 employers voluntarily sign up for it new every single week. The bill simply requires all employers to use EVerify.
This idea has been attempted before.
It has.
How have you overcome the objections, if you have, to people who say they don't want their current illegal employees flagged by implementing the EVerify system?
This bill does not apply to current employees. It only applies to individuals who are new hires, who are applying for jobs in the future. So it's not going to impact the current workforce.
In the big picture, why do you think this is important to do?
Yeah. This is important for two reasons. If we have an EVerify program, it's going to turn down the attraction of the jobs magnet. And if illegal immigrants know they can't get a job in the United States, then they're going to be less likely to come into the United States, so it's going to reduce illegal immigration. The other half is that it's going to save these jobs for unemployed and underemployed American citizens. Right now, a lot of those jobs, illegal immigrants hold something like 6 to 7 million jobs in the country today, and these jobs should be going to the unemployed American citizens.
So you mentioned this being part potentially of an immigration package. So it's passed as a freestanding bill but then incorporated into a package?
It wouldn't surprise me if some kind of a final immigration package didn't have EVerify to make sure that only American workers got jobs, didn't have some kind of border security in the sense of more structures along the border, maybe some form of immigration reform to reduce chain migration, where you have one individual today conceivably bringing in lots of family members who are not immediate family members. Need to reduce that. It wouldn't surprise me if it didn't have some narrow form of what's called DACA, which is a category of young people who came into the country at a very young age and have lived here most of their lives. That could be part of the package as well.
That they would be allowed to stay.
They'd be allowed to stay in the United States. So it's 4 or 5, I think, components of a larger, broader immigration package, and wouldn't surprise me if we don't see that before the end of the year. The president would like to see it by December.
And no offense, but as an outsider watching Congress try to get some things done, it seems like a lot hasn't gotten past, even that which there was thought to be broad party support for. So what odds do you place on an immigration package?
You're right, Congress needs to produce. We need to show we can govern. I think Congress will come back for health care reform. Tax reform is coming up. I think that the House will pass tax reform by the end of the year, and I think the House will pass immigration reform by the end of the year. I cannot speak for it, nor do I take any responsibility for what the Senate does, and that's sometimes the problem.
We taped this earlier, and it seems like immigration reform is definitely not happening before the end of this year. Smith says EVerify is supported by the Chamber of Commerce, the restaurant industry, and according to a poll, a majority of Americans. Why do employers support the system? If they use it, they cannot be prosecuted for accidentally hiring illegal immigrants.